All right.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening, depending on where you are.
Yeah,
Uh,
GM, everyone. Good morning, good evening.
mm, just got a confirmation that everything is working on both Twitter and YouTube, so I think we're actually good to go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, let me do like a little introduction, and then David, you can tell us all about what's going to be happening today. Welcome to, I would say, the first Learn with Nosana workshop slash tutorial slash session where we'll be covering various different topics surrounding the Nosada products or the product itself. Where we'll dive into various ways you can utilize Nosana to the maximum efficiency. And today we're going to be focusing on, I would say, beginner part of the whole journey, which is going to focus on the new documentation or the new learning hub. And we're going to be walking a little bit through our dashboard and showing you how to do some basic deployments and also teaching you where certain things are so you can help yourself later down the road. I'm joined by David, our DevRel, who's going to be doing the hard part of today's work. And yeah, David, go ahead, say hello, say what you're going to be focusing on, and maybe we can even start.
Uh, Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, indeed. Hi, everyone. My name is David. As many of you know, I do developer relations for Nosana. That means I get to give these workshops. I get to teach people how to use Nosana. I get to teach people how to deploy AI models and show you all of the different ways of how you can then create and integrate AI features into your products. And I help a little bit with the marketing team with creating content. And I also help the business development team with onboarding clients. And of course, I also talk with the developers as well about our developer-focused product that we're building every day.
Cool. So, what are we going to be doing today?
So indeed, as Dennis mentioned, we'll be doing this Learn with Nosana sessions. And for this first one, like we really wanted to highlight the Nosana documentation. For a long while, we had the docs.nosana.com, which kind of gave a brief introduction of how to use the SDK, how to use the CLI. But since I think 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, like we've launched learn.nosana.com. It's a complete revamp of the documentation that we've had up until now. And we're very excited to present it to you today. As you can see, it goes in, as you can see, it goes a little bit into then deployments. You can see then the different interfaces that we've developed over the past 2 years in order for people and developers to post jobs to Nosana using the API, the CLI, the SDK, and you can also post jobs to Nosana via the Solana programs, where we have the matching engine that matches then compute providers and compute buyers. But today we'll only be diving into using the dashboard for deployments. But before we get into all of that, like let's quickly take a look into what is Nosana. As Nosana, as many of you know, is a decentralized compute clouds that has a specific focus on GPUs. So the way that we've built it is really aimed and geared towards AI workloads. So and especially for AI inference. So anytime that you talk to an LLM, anytime that you generate an image or a video using an image generation or video generation model, that's called inferencing. And for that specific part of it is why we've created Nosana in order to be able to leverage consumer GPUs and use all of that available compute that is out there in the world to be able to fill in that gap that has been growing ever since ChatGPT came onto the scene. Ever since ChatGPT came onto the scene, there's been this growing wedge, this growing gap between the available compute and the demand for compute in order to run all of these AI applications. And we've been aggregating GPUs all across the globe in order to be able to fill in that gap. So as you can see now, we have about 1,000 instances online supplying compute for our partners and our clients, and compute that is ready to go and be used by developers all across the world. You can kind of think of it as an edge compute network for GPUs. As you can see, we have computes across the Americas. We have a bunch in Europe. We have a bunch in Bulgaria. We have more and more also popping up across the continent of Africa and Asia as well. And of course, but not least, Australia. I think the only continent we're missing at the moment is Antarctica. So we're still keeping on to the champagne bottles until we until we start getting our first hosts from Antarctica.
Well, it's gonna happen eventually. I mean, it's pretty good for cooling, so someone's gonna have an idea. Just move their whole stack there. Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so this is kind of what we describe as the space of decentralized compute. Because of blockchains, now we're able to we can create these decentralized marketplaces that use assets from all across the world, and we're able to coordinate all of this compute with different kinds of peers in order to be able to supply compute for this growing demand of AI products. So the kinds of GPUs that we have at the moment are primarily consumer GPUs. Here you can take a look at the numbers of jobs that we've completed ever since the network went live, which is almost 3.5 million jobs. We're also almost at the 3.5 million hours of compute that has been run. And here at explore.nosana.com, you can see the kinds of jobs that are being posted to our network, to the network. For the example, this one is an RTX 4060 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And here we can see then all of the different kinds of markets that we have. But we're gonna dive into those a bit more in a couple of minutes. But yeah, if it wasn't clear to you yet, GPUs are by happenstance the way that we render graphics. Using then matrices is also a little bit the way of how neural networks are represented in machine learning models. So that's why all of a sudden we've seen in the past 2-3 years this huge demand for GPUs because the way that neural networks is represented is matrices, and it's just matrices all the way down. And GPUs are amazing. They're fantastic at matrix multiplications, and which is essentially what's happening when you're trying to inference a model, when you're talking to your LLM of choice. But yeah, let's dive into it a little bit, shall we?
Yeah, let's take a look at the docs, because we're very excited to show them out. It's brand new, so it's all up to date, super official, super awesome. So do tell us a little bit more about them.
Indeed. So the first step is to actually go to deploy.nosana.com. This is actually where you'll be able to find our dashboard, and or actually I should say your dashboard in all of the different deployments that you do on the Nosana network. We'll talk a little bit about like what the difference is between a job and a deployment. But for now, I want to highlight that you can log in with your email, your Google account, your GitHub account, and you can also log in with your wallet of choice, either Phantom or Soulflare. But yeah, for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll be focusing on just using Google for the moment. And I would like to do a little call out as well, that if you sign up today, you will be able to claim $50 worth of credit to your account, and you'll be able to use those credits in order to do deployments. So go do check it out today. For a limited time, $50 worth of credit will be available to you when you sign up today. So here we can see then my dashboard, and we can see then a little bit about my current balance. We can see how much I've been spending over the past couple of months, and we can see as well that I can create API keys. But let's not get ahead of ourselves yet.
Step by step.
Exactly. On this getting started page, we can see that like we'll be there's, as I mentioned, different ways to interface with Nosana. Today, as I mentioned, we'll be focused on the dashboard, but we also have a REST API. We also have a TypeScript SDK. You can also use your CLI, or as I mentioned, you can interact directly with the Nosana, Solana programs if you need it to, which might be useful for certain use cases. The way that we call our GPUs is you can think of Nosana as the Airbnb for GPUs. So we call our GPU instances hosts. They host then people who need compute. And I think these are the most important ones that we'll be going over today, which are then the jobs, the deployments, the GPU markets, credits, as I already mentioned, and hosts will be for another video. And here as well, as you can see the different authentication methods that we have for Nosana. We have, again, the dashboard that you can use, the different login methods that I mentioned, API keys, or your wallet. But we'll talk about using the API, the SDK, the CLI in the follow-up series of this video tutorial. So let's get started with the actual key concepts. So the first key concept to understand, of actually using Nosana, are the jobs. Jobs are the concrete set of operations to be executed. So let's actually go into the dashboard right now, and let's start creating a job so that you have a little bit of a better feeling of what a job actually looks like. So it's not just this random word that we're using.
No. Yeah. Real examples.
Exactly. So I'm sure many of you are very familiar with Jupyter. In this case, we'll be using the PyTorch Jupyter Notebook as our example of what the job should look like. When you go to then deployments, and you create a deployment, and you start configuring it, you'll be able to see then this JSON. And we call this then our job definition file, or job definition JSON. If you're familiar with Docker, some of these parameters should be familiar to you, such as ops, args, CMD, image, of course. And you'll notice, for example, that the value for the image property is Docker IO Nosana / PyTorch Jupyter. So one way to think of Nosana is it's basically somebody else's computer that has a Docker runtime with a GPU attached to it. So you're able to run anything that you can run within Docker, you can run on Nosana. So in that sense, all within this JSON, then you specify the image that you want to use. In this case, we make sure that the GPU flag is also true. We expose port 8888. And within the args property, we have then the CMD array property, with which we actually start up our Jupyter application, right? So we launch Jupyter, we specify then these other parameters, in this case lab, and then these other flags, IP and port, in order to make sure that we start up our application the way we want it to start up. So this is then the essential way of how you actually when deploy a job on Nosana. This is you could think of this as a Docker file. And then you have the deployment. The deployment is the actual running of the job. So in this case, for example, there are different strategies. We have the simple one, which is basically just a once and done job. We have the simple extend, which is you can publish it once, it'll run, but you'll have the option to actually extend your job. The scheduled one is basically a cron job. As you can see here, the schedule, the way that you actually specified is using the cron, the cron language.
Yeah. All of this is in the docs, right? There's a separate page for this in case anyone wants to know more.
Yes, indeed, there is.
Should be like deployment options or somewhere out there. Yeah.
Ba, ba, ba.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not a full screen page. That's why you don't see the other one. Yeah, usually it's very easily accessible. You'll be able to see it any second. So
I didn't
yeah,
indeed.
strategies. There you go. There you
Yes.
go. Yeah, that's the one.
Indeed, under deployments, under strategies, you'll be able to read a little bit more about all of the different deployment strategies. And last but not least, we also have then the infinite one, which is then allows you to just deploy a job, and it will just keep on running until you run out of funds. So yeah, do be careful with that. So that is one limitation of Nosana, is that for the moment, Nosana is really useful for stateless jobs. If you're running a stateful application, you need to think about how you're going to engineer your application in such a way that the way that you try to conserve state should be then handled by some other provider. But when it comes to stateless jobs, we're really good for that, especially then when it comes to running machine learning models. And yeah, you need to top up your account as well beforehand, because like when you pay for a job, that those funds go into escrow in order to make sure and safeguard that you actually can pay for the job. So yeah, let's for now just keep it to a simple job, and we're going to choose a 5090 for this use case, and we're going to create our deployment. As we can see, it's I should have mentioned as well the markets. So the markets are segmented basically via. While this loads, let's go quickly take a look at the market that we deployed this on. So we deployed this on an NVIDIA 5090 market. We should be able to see let's go back to explore.nosana.com. And we'll be able to see the different markets that we have. So the way that we segment our markets is basically by then the NVIDIA models that we have on our network. As you can see, we have NVIDIA 3060s all the way to NVIDIA H100s. And our bread and butter at the moment is the 4090s and the 5090s, which are really great for running medium-sized language models. You'd be surprised at how well medium-sized language models right now are performing. For example, with the Qwen 3.5, you don't necessarily need a premium flagship LLM such as ChatGPT. I don't know, what is it at the moment, 5.5? No, oftentimes for certain kinds of applications, this is more than good enough for most of the use cases that are available that need to be filled right now. So let's go back to our job.
While we were still waiting, I think the logs, you still need to download the whole LLM. But you can tell us a little bit more about templates, because I think we skipped over that part where we already have some preset models you can deploy, but it's not necessarily what people have to deploy. They can deploy whatever they want. But you can tell us a little bit more about the templates. Yeah.
Indeed. We have a couple of templates already here defined for you. So that it just makes it a bit easier for you to be able to kind of start grasping and understanding what these different models look like. So for example, if you want to launch the GPT open source model, let's say you want to use the 20 billion parameter model, you can select that. We can configure it right here, and we can see then what the job definition file looks like. In this case, we're using an OLAMA image. Here we're exposing another port, but in this case, we also have a health check, which allows you to be able to specify a particular port that's where the deployment will continuously ping in order to check if your deployment is working or not. You can load up some resources as well into your job, and let's say, and in this case as well, we can see how much VRAM is required in order to deploy this model, and we can see as well right away which NVIDIA GPUs are available in order that have the capacity to actually load in that model. So let's do it on a 4090 and deploy that one as well. And in the meantime, let's check out our other deployments to see how well that one is running.
Yeah,
okay,
just about finished.
Yeah, almost finished. So here we can see the system logs. We could see that it was pulling down the Docker container, and now and we can see it's running the Docker container. Like we can see that the operation service URL is exposed. We also can see then the logs of the container itself. And yeah, we should be able to go then to this URL and actually start interacting with our Jupyter notebook. Right, so right now you'll have then a Jupyter notebook runtime with a GPU attached to it. So you can run any of your experiments that you usually do on your computer, but then now on this host. Okay, let's leave that page. And let's stop this deployment as well. So indeed, you can actually archive. You can restart it. You can update your deployment as it goes. It's a really nice interface to be able to then actually manage all of your deployments. So let's go back to our other deployment here. Let's see if it's actually running already or not. Yeah, so this should be online. And if we go then to V1 models, yes, we can see that we have then our GPT open source model, 20 billion parameters running on this URL, on the service URL that's provided right here.
So how would you access this this LLM now to communicate with it? What's the best way? I think we're going to cover this more in detail on the second video, but just a brief introduction to it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, so oftentimes it's just replacing the base URL of your application with then the service URL. It's one parameter that you often define then with your agent or within your LLM chat application of choice. You can easily just replace then this URL with then where you need to fill it in. And
that's quite easy.
It's in this particular case, it's an OpenAI API compatible URL. So you should be able to get up and running just by replacing this URL.
Nice.
Yes.
No, that was pretty easy, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I have one other deployment here as well. This should be the Comfy UI deployment with a little stable diffusion workflow. So let's check up on it to see if it's working well. Look. So let's do let's do an outpaint.
I think only a specific model is available for this one. The one on the template we downloaded. Not sure which one though. Because all of them are technically different templates. So only one of the models is going to actually work. because the stable diffusion models, they are very, very large. So people have to keep that in mind when
Yeah,
trying to download all of these.
indeed, good point. I think you're right. I don't think this one is loaded yet, but we can see that the web app is running, and yeah, indeed, we would need to download the model. But
Additional, yeah.
yes, next time.
Next time, that's right.
But indeed, so what I do still want to focus on is the rest of then the documentation. As you can see, we do cover then all of the we covered the strategies as well. We kind of make sure that like you understand as well the cron expression that you would need to use in order to do, for example, the scheduled deployments. We go a bit more. We do a deep dive into the GPU markets and all of the options as well when it comes to the job definition files. So as you can see here, this is basically the bare bones of what a JSON job definition file looks like. And this would be then the full example. So you can copy this and then paste it directly into when you create a job and you configure it. You can just paste it right there. And or you can actually copy this as well and paste it into the CLI, the SDK, or the API as need be. And we have as well then here one page, especially for your first deployment. And it'll walk you through the steps that we just went through right now of what it looks like and what you're doing to actually get to the point in order to deploy, in this case, Comfy UI.
Nice. So I think it might be a good time to mention, especially when you mentioned the learning and getting started with all of these things, is that we are super active on our Discord channel. So if there's anyone looking to get into this but doesn't sure which model they require or what kind of models they still want to run, but they have a general idea, you can join us on our Discord, which is going to be in the description of this video on YouTube, or you can find it on our X profiles. You can find it. It's pretty easily accessible. And just ask a question, and someone from the team will be happy to help you, especially with posting and deploying jobs. Our devs love to jump on, and David as well. So we're happy to help with whatever help you need. If the docs don't help you with something, we'll be sure to help. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Indeed. Yeah, we're here to help. Yeah, very excited to see all of the different use cases that you have going on, and how you are leveraging Nosana in order to do your own deployments, either it be for LLMs, for image video generation, or for agents. We're very curious to see what the community is building and how we can help the community build whatever it is that you're building on at the moment. I would also like to do, as I mentioned already, credits are available. So if you sign up today at deploy.nosana.com, you'll get $50 worth of credits. And I also would like to shout out that we will be doing a builders challenge again at the end of the month, an online hackathon where first prize is $1,000, and we're handing out a total of $3,000 worth in prizes for building with Eliza OS. So a little sneak peek for all of those of you who are actually tuning in and for some alpha. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, and there's gonna be more alpha next week as well, because like we mentioned earlier in the video, we're gonna be focusing on more advanced types of deployments, including the API and SDK. So those who are perhaps looking for something more technical, I think that video is going to be a lot more relevant to you in case you already know the basics. This one was more an introduction video to Nosana and all the new devs coming in, students, researchers, whoever. But the next one is going to be a little bit more in detail. So those who want to participate in the Builders Challenge, which is going to be on Are we ready to announce the date? Is it March 25? I think we can already say the date.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be
Yeah,
March 25.
March 25. So you're the first ones to hear it here. By then, we're already going to have 2 videos out, and I think it's going to be great for you guys to check out both of them. So you're going to be fully prepared, and you're going to already know what you want to work on by the time the Builders Challenge goes live. So hope to see you next week as well. We're going to post the announcement for when exactly the workshop is going to be sometime early next week, or maybe even by Friday. We'll let you know for sure. So do follow us on Twitter, on X, or on YouTube, or join the Discord as well if you want to have some discussions. We're going to have some discussions tomorrow, actually. So yeah, hope to see you somewhere else around the ecosystem in the network. And yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Dennis, thanks again for hosting. Thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in. And indeed, do stay tuned for next week when we do our follow-up series on how to deploy on Nosana using the API, the CLI, and the SDK.
Yep. All right. Thank you, folks. You have a nice day.
Ciao, ciao.